This is Team 2. Our WBS item is culvert installation. The culvert installation process includes ordering and delivering the culvert to the site, setting up the crane picks, and placement, and using it to lift and position the culvert segments and wing walls. Once in place, the culvert is sealed and connections are placed, which completes the installation. Here are the top safety risks. The first one is rigging fails and culvert piece falls. Crane rigging failures, either due to inadequate rigging or improper placement, can cause culvert pieces to fall. The second safety item is pinch and crush points. Setting rigging and guiding culverts introduces risks of pinch and crush points. Hands should be placed on culvert walls away from edges while performing any hand guiding. The third safety item is human-equipment interaction. Concurrent activities including earthwork and stream restoration means people and equipment moving throughout the workspace. Watch for moving equipment, tools, and other items in the walk path and other personnel. Here are the top quality risks. The first item is culvert seal. Grout and sealing tape needs to be properly applied to ensure watertight seal on culvert pieces. The second quality item is damage to culvert pieces. During crane picks, culvert pieces can be damaged by the rigging equipment or nearby objects if allowed to make contact. The third quality item is culvert alignment. Placement, elevation, and angle of culvert pieces are correct according to survey markings and engineer drawings.
The work breakdown structure for culvert installation begins with the culvert procurement and coordinating the culvert delivery with the ending of the crane setup. From there, the crane picks will begin, starting with the culvert bottom and wing wall segments, sealing and connecting the bottom segments together, and finishing with the culvert top placement. Then we will seal and connect the top. Activity 1 is the culvert procurement from Jensen Infrastructure. This involves ordering the culvert, checking the design, and making plans for delivery. Once the contract has been awarded, we can begin the process of the culvert procurement. As mentioned previously, this involves checking the designs and coordinating delivery of the segments with the crane setup. We anticipate this process will take approximately 2 months, so Jensen Infrastructure will have enough time to review the designs and submittals for approval and manufacture the segments. The total cost of all of the culvert segments is $380,000, which is equivalent to approximately $23,750 for each segment.
Activity 2 is crane setup. The setup will occur on the south end of the project due to the delivery coming from the south end. This process will include the road widening, the setup of the crane pads and outriggers, and also the placement of the crane. This is crucial to ensure that the placement of the furthest wing walls will be reached by the crane's farthest reach location. Predecessors to this activity include the culvert procurement, crane rental, excavation, culvert soil base preparation, crane pad base prep, and the road expansion. The inspections and testing and hold points that are important for this process is verifying your outrigging and that the crane radius will reach the furthest ring wall placement. There are no limitations and rules. We expect the estimated duration to be 4 hours for this process. This is an aerial photo from the project. Here you can see the crane pads and the road that got extended on the sides. This is all after the current excavation and ready for the crane to be placed, and then followed by the culvert also being placed. As set up previously, the road does need to be widened as the supports for the crane extend the current road surface. So to do this, it requires about 21.5 cubic yards of CSPC total. This will include excavators and compaction. We estimate this to be about 4 hours of work. This table shows our laborers, equipment, and materials. For laborers, we have 2 power equipment operators, one for the Bobcat and one for the 300-ton crane. We also have 6 general laborers. For equipment, as I said, the Bobcat and the crane. And then material is the CSPC for the road extension.
The next activity is culvert delivery. This involves having culvert pieces brought to the site to be unloaded by the crane and making sure that they're cycled properly to ensure that the trucks aren't waiting too long. Transportation costs are assumed to be included in the cost per unit of the culvert delivery, including the driver wage and truck ownership fees. As shown on the maps, the best route to get to the project site is to take a southern route, which is why the crane is being placed on the south side of the project, saving about 20 to 30 minutes depending on time of day. The predecessors for culvert delivery are culvert procurement from Jensen Infrastructure and crane setup. This activity interacts with culvert procurement, crane picks, and installation. For inspection, testing, and holding points, you should visually verify culvert is damage-free at time of delivery before accepting the delivery, and culvert pieces should be delivered in sequence with a preference for the shorter route from the south. Trucks will need space to wait and turn around on site. Activity 4 is the crane picks and segment installation. This involves rigging the culvert pieces for picking off of the delivery trucks and maneuvering them into their position. This activity may be split into two sections, the bottom and wing wall segments being placed first and the top segments being placed later to allow for stream restoration activities within the culvert before covering it. This activity's crew is a crane crew, which will include 4 rigging/signal persons, 2 general laborers, and a crane operator. Here are some photographs of the crane picking and installation activities in progress. In the photographs, you can see that there are laborers both at the top to do rigging and at the bottom to do rigging. Also in this photo, it is important to note that the wing wall rigging is different than the rest of the culvert rigging. For the wing walls, you'll actually be using both the main line and the auxiliary line to pick from 2 different points instead of the spreader bar that we will use for the culvert pieces. The predecessors for Activity 4 are the crane setup, culvert segment procurement. This also interacts with segment delivery coordination and the concrete masons and welders who will be on site to join the pieces together. Culvert pieces should be visually inspected and rigging as well, and each lift should verify its center of gravity before moving the pieces. Confirm proper alignment of segments prior to releasing the rigging. Follow the safety plan for all critical picks and when guiding pieces into place. Here is our table for Activity 4, the crane picks. Our estimated cycle time for each individual piece is 30 minutes, but as previously mentioned, it is likely that installing the bottom and wing wall pieces will be separated between that and the top installation to allow for stream bed restoration. So while the overall length of time this activity takes will be 8 hours, it will likely be broken up. So using a cycle time of 30 minutes per pick will be more beneficial for teams. We also have 1 crane operator, 2 general laborers, and 4 rigging persons. And here are more pictures of the culvert installation in process, showing workers guiding the pieces into place on the ground.
After all the pieces of the culvert have been installed, we can start to connect them. This involves a bunch of different metal pieces that are mostly welded together. Some interactions for this activity could potentially involve sealing and stream bed placement, as well as fill. As different parts of the culvert are being sealed and connected, we may need to place stream bed at other parts of the culvert or start filling the outside. The only limitations or rules that should be considered are that you want to keep the area clean if crane picks are happening and make sure everyone's out of the way. This shouldn't take very long. A little over an hour is estimated, but it should be noted that this will be broken up a lot by the culvert installation and by sealing, so it won't be one continuous hour. These are the crews and equipment that will be needed for the connections. This is mostly welders and people who are able to install all these different metal pieces listed here at the bottom. Once the pieces of the culvert have been connected, we can start to seal them. This is to ensure that water isn't leaking from the outside or the inside into the surrounding sediment. This might interact with stream bed placement and fill as well as connections. The most important thing here is to test the seal and make sure that no water is able to get through either side. The only limitations and rules would be using the correct materials as outlined in the RFP, and this will also take about an hour. It's mostly people being able to lay the different sealants and make sure that it is completely sealed. Here are the estimated pricing and quantities for the sealing of the culvert parts. I just wanted to note here that I couldn't find a good estimate for the price of the CS102 butyl sealant, but I spoke to someone at Atkinson and they told me that the sealant is usually included within the price of the culvert, so that's the assumption we went off of here. I have included the length just in case we need to update that.
Thank you for watching our presentation for the Culvert Installation WBS. If you have any questions, please follow up with Trevor or Lydia from Team 2 and they will get the answers to you.